The ultimate tournament of everything.
Welcome to the Tournament of Everything, the second ever live video edition. And by live, I mean recorded, at least at this moment.
That's correct. We are living, and we hope that you are too, as you're listening to this, the ultimate Tournament of Everything podcast, where we face off everything against everything else, and we do so by scaling a very, very tall yet mysterious mountain to find an even more mysterious and wise man. We ask him the secret to enlightenment, throwing each item at him individually. Which one will we get to before we realize that the secret was within ourselves the entire time? That will be the one moving on to the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
It's very much, Looney Tunes versus the Monstars. Don't worry, guys. It's not magic. It's been you the whole time. You were the special stuff.
That's right. And we're going to try and bring just a little bit of that magic here into the competition tonight. But Rob, why don't you tell them what we'll actually be doing?
What we will actually be doing is picking random pages off Wikipedia, and if you see on the screen right there, one of the benefits of a visual version is you can see we got the first 2 rounds loaded up. We will then be randomly picking the next 7, just like we randomly picked these first 2. We'll be comparing them 2 at a time, figuring out which ones we like best and which ones we think deserve to move on into the next round of an infinite tournament that has really no end.
That's correct. There is no... every new beginning is some other beginning's end, they say. And so why don't we start here at the end of the beginning, which is round 1. Round 1.
In round 1, we have Cartlon Scroop against Tom Craig.
Yes, excellent. We have someone with a fantastic last name, Scroop. That's fun to say. Versus somebody with a last name that is also a first name, Mr. Tom Craig. So let's jump right in here and learn about both of them.
Now, Cartlon Scroop, not a person. It's actually a small village and civil parish in the South Kesteven district of Lincolnshire, England. The population of the civil parish, including Normanton, don't forget Normanton, at the 2011 census was 304 people. Well, I'm assuming people. It doesn't say. It just says 304. Maybe sheep, maybe people, maybe a mix of the two.
I'm guessing there are probably a lot more sheep than there are people, but that is just, casting stereotypes on things. This is situated 6 miles, or 10 kilometers, northeast from the market town of Grantham, and 4 miles east from the village of Howham, I think so. And there's a big road that passes through it. This is listed as a Domesday survey, in the Domesday survey as Carlatoon instead of Cartlon Scroop.
So the Domesday Book apparently is a Middle English spelling of the Doomsday Book, a manuscript record of the Great Survey of much of England and parts of Wales, completed by the order of King William I, known as William the Conqueror.
Yeah, so there must have been a lot of things in that book. They wanted to keep track of it just in case Doomsday did inevitably arise. Looks like this is a grade 1 listed. There's a grade 1 listed Anglican church dedicated to St. Nicholas. Of course, we all know St. Nicholas, Santa Claus and whatnot. Parts of the fabric are Norman, although most of the obvious features are decorated in the aforementioned church. And looks like, it's kind of the big deal there.
If you've been following the tournament for any length of time, you'll know that Grade 1 is a historical designation for our friends across the pond. I think goes all the way up to 3, if I remember correctly from earlier rounds.
I am getting excited about this little town here because I'm reading on. They have what is called a microwave tower. It formed part of a Cold War emergency microwave communication system called Backbone. It was a Cold War era bunker of the Royal Observer Corps, built in '65, subsequently abandoned and is now demolished. I've only ever had a microwave on my counter, pretty much. I'd love to see how quickly a tower-sized one could cook a Hot Pocket.
So they were in the Doomsday Survey, and they were preparing apparently for the modern-day Doomsday with those radio towers. You know who probably wasn't preparing for modern-day Doomsday?
Somebody who was preparing for the defense of the opposing football team, Mr. Tom Craig.
Yeah, he's a Scottish football player, and by football, of course, we mean soccer. During the 1950s and 60s, he started his career with junior side, that's a word I've never seen before, Kirkintilloch? We'll go with that. Kirkintilloch Rob Roy, before signing senior with Dumbarton.
And it was here that he played with distinction. Good. He's not English. He's Scottish.
He's Scottish.
Yes, he's as a good Scottish would. He's constant in the halfback line for over 4 seasons. And in 1960, he transferred to East Stirling, where he served 8 seasons. Between 64 and 65 with the Clydebank team.
It says he saw his career where he started with Rob Roy, but I don't actually know what that's supposed to mean. I don't know if that means he ended his career there as well, but it's not listed in his resume here.
We do have that he's scored 6 goals from 1955 to 1968 for 2 different teams. We've got 388 appearances. That's a lot of football. Is that enough to beat out this historic village, do you think?
See, I don't know, because that's the entirety of the article. As you see on the screen there, that's all we know about Tom Craig, footballer. But we do know a lot more about the village of Cartlon Scroop.
Including that it's part of the ecclesiastical parish of Cartlon Scroop and Normanton on Cliff, which itself is part of the Caythorpe group of parishes in the Lovedden Deanery. That sounds pretty nice. It has the same boundaries as something. It just says it has the same boundaries, and it's dedicated again to that guy in the red suit, St. Nicholas.
One more interesting fact, the Viking Way, a long-distance footpath, passes through the village.
Okay, and they have a mast situated just outside the village. Part of that aforementioned microwave thing. Big deal. I'm excited about it, and I think I'm going to move on this Cartlon Scroop to the next round. What do you think?
I think I have to agree with you. I think Cartlon Scroop, even though it has 304 people, is 304 times more interesting than Tom Craig, footballer.
All right, Cartlon Scroop, we're going to take 2 scoops of you and move you on to the next round.
The ultimate tournament of everything.
2 scoops?
Yeah, 2 scoops,
2
couple
scoops.
sprinkles.
Carlton 2 scoops is apparently what they call it.
Yep. I think they had Mr. Tom Craig probably had a sweet nickname too. I don't know, but that wasn't in the article. Speaking of 2, let's get on to round 2.
It's time for round 2.
In round 2, we have the Night Hunter novel series against Wallace and Matilda.
Okay, yeah, 2 very fascinating elements that we have here, competing, battling against one another, facing off, really. Here in this very first round, the Night Hunter sounds very dangerous. Wallace and Matilda, they sound lovely. Let's see which approach is going to earn victory.
Now, The Night Hunter is a novel series by Robert P. Falcon. Falcon? Faulcon? Published in the beginning of 1983. And the main character seeks to free his abducted family from evil cultists.
Yes, tale as old as time. Looks like it was a series consisting of 6 books, starting with The Stalking, the sequel, The Talisman, proceeded to The Ghost Dance, The Shrine, The Hexing, and finally, The Labyrinth.
Okay, Dave Pringle reviewed The Stalking and The Talisman for Imagine magazine, and he stated that the author is a known British SF writer, here lurking under his umpteenth pseudonym. So apparently he writes frequently, but under many different names.
That is a good way to go about it. Not everybody likes anybody, but if you are closer to being everybody, then anybody will like you.
That's true. Now, apparently the book, I don't know if this is how I would describe it, updated Dennis Wheatley, they move along quite adequately with dollops of gore and sex to keep you in a fun frame of mind, which is not how I would describe gore.
Well, hey, speak to yourself, and we're not going to judge anybody. But speaking of, kind of interesting ways to have fun, let's jump over to our other competitor, Wallace and Matilda. They are an Australian group that interpret the works of Australian bush poet Margeaux Patterson.
Look on the screen there. Here's a picture of Margeaux Patterson, Australian bush poet, journalist, and author. He wrote many ballads and poems about Australian life, focusing particularly on the rural and outback areas, including the district around Binalong. Binalong. There we go.
Okay, yes. 4 titles here of studio albums, released from 1980 all the way up to 2003. So they're pop rock musicians who are writing songs based on the works by this poet.
It's kind of an interesting thing to do. I don't know if I can name another group that takes poems from a guy who lived over 100 years ago and said, let's put those to pop rock music.
Over and over, it seems, they've got, as I said, 4 full-length studio albums, but they also have some compilation albums. They had one single hit the Australian pop charts, getting up to number 30. That album was Pioneers, a tribute to A.B. Patterson.
Well, that's good. So they were apparently more popular than maybe Night Hunter, the novel series, and out around about the same time in the early to mid-'80s. Now, the question is, which one of those has the lasting power to move on to the next round that is today?
They're trying to free your family from not only cultists, but evil cultists. Kind of the most fun type of cultists. They said that, let's see here, I see a review saying that horror fans could do worse than these books. So not a glowing endorsement, but certainly not putting it down either. Wallace and Matilda, I don't know what these poems were about. They're all just, it says tributes. I don't know that these weren't about evil cultists, pro or against. I don't know where he stood on cults.
I think I'm going to have to give it to Wallace and Matilda just for the joining that is new to old. They're taking the history and they're looking at that past and they're bringing it into the present through new music. And I think that's a fun thing.
I definitely agree with you. Night Hunter, you're going to write stories about, trying to get people out of cults and things like that. But by 83, you probably should have just been making a movie or a TV series. Come on, who's reading books anymore? Certainly not Wallace and Matilda. They're making fantastic music, and that's why we're moving them on to the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
Good job, Wallace and Matilda. Good job.
Yeah, very happy about that one. I can't wait to see what excitement this new video format is going to bring us in round 3.
It's time for round 3.
In round 3, we have Sean Gill against Kurla Ostrina.
We surely do. Sean Gill, a Canadian curler, facing off against, I don't even know yet, Cirula Ostrina. Not a moth nor a small town in Iran, but a species of shorefly. It does happen to be in the family of Ephideridae.
Now, Sean Gill, thank you for giving me a phonetic pronunciation, Wikipedia, born January 29th, 1975, in Surrey, British Columbia, is a Canadian curler. They love curling in Canada. Did you know that? By the way, if you're one of our Canadian listeners, I think we have 1 or 2. Do you love curling? Maybe? I don't know. Am I pigeonholing you by saying you love curling? You can let us know. You're like our one Canadian fan. But if you tell a friend, there could be 2 of you.
That's right. Knit 1, curl 2, they say. You'll end up with half as many sweaters as you do brooms. But this Sean Gill seemed to be quite the star. Has 2 provincial championships to his credit, and thus 2 Brier appearances, naturally. He and his Royal City Curling Club rink of Brent Pierce won the 2009 Canadian Direct Insurance BC Men's Provincials. defeating their opponent 8-7 in the final.
It really sounds like curling has sponsorship like college football in America. That's just a bunch of words together. Like, oh, they give money to it. We'll call it that. Sure, why not? Yeah, Well, good on him. He works as a utility equipment sales and rental manager for Commercial Truck Equipment Corporation. He's married and has 3 children.
Speaking of having multiple children, let's jump over to our other competitor again, the Shorefly Cirula Austrina. That's about all we know. We do have a picture here. It's got it's got wings. It can certainly fly. Big goofy eyes and long stick-like legs.
It's a bug. It's
bug.
a flying bug. Here's a picture. It's a flying bug.
Yeah.
It's in the family Ephidridae. Ephidridae. There we go. In the family Ephidridae, and apparently is in the U.S., Mexico, and Bermuda. So, yay, go you, fly. It's not as exciting as a moth. I thought when I saw a bug with a simple description, that brings flashbacks of all the moths that have dominated this tournament, but the moths are way more interesting than the shorefly.
Oh, yeah. There are many things much flyer than flies, including, I do believe, our other competitor, Mr. Sean Giel, just crushing it curling. He's winning all over the place. He left the rink in 2014, was replaced, and the team would still go on to win without him. So it seems that his impression was lasting, and his winning ways were just transferred on to others. And I believe they were transferred into this competition as well, moving him on to the next round of
The Ultimate Tournament of Everything.
Congratulations, Sean Giel. Good job, buddy.
Yep, couldn't be happier for you. Do you think curlers, it's one of those things, some chefs don't like to cook at home. Do you think that they all have, dirty floors?
Oh, I don't know. It's maybe they like to Swiffer more. Maybe they get really into it. I don't know.
Would a vacuum be effective in the sport of curling? Have they considered that?
I don't think they have, and I think there's plenty of reasons why, mostly the water.
Well, it's ice if you do it quick enough.
I guess. We'll get Dyson right on that one.
All right. Well, while they're working on that, let's get ourselves working into round 4. My round 4 is ready.
In round 4, we have Adrian Cornelis van Linkschaten against Emmanuel Ndemandoy. We'll show you the names and you'll understand why I can't pronounce them.
2 of the greatest names that I've heard in this round. I can't wait to see what sparks, what shocking amazement is about to undertake itself before our very eyes. Let's jump into the madness.
Adrian Cornelis van Linkschaten is a Dutch Golden Age painter. According to Hobrouken, he was a regent of the Deft Guild of St. Luke, listed as Cornelius Adrian Linkschaten in 1627, and some said, I don't know why it's in quotes, guys, but it is, some said, the student of Spangulet. Again, in quotes. They're putting it there. The visuals are for you guys.
This is a fascinating guy. In any case, he was not a proponent of Wellevenskunt, or virtue, since Hobrouken felt Linschatten's painting style and lifestyle were both far from virtuous. This was a guy who liked to party. In 1634, he traveled to Brabant, where he married and had 2 daughters, but he was still a family man.
Here's a great story. Raven remembered specifically a story where a church pastor had ordered a painting of Paul the Apostle showing sorrow for his sins and crying to the servant girl of the high priest. And Linschhaten asked if he had painted the crybaby well enough, since though he had been drunk and sorry himself, he'd never cried about it enough to feel the emotion.
I'd love to see that painting. Oh, we can actually see the painting. Yeah, he looks bummed.
Oh, there's the painting. Can you guys see that? There you go. There it is. He looks sort of sad, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't be that, overly devastated, especially when you take it from the guy who painted it. We put a little bit of ourselves into everything, and we've put a little bit of our competitor into this round too. So let's jump over to him and see what Emmanuel Ndiaye has to teach us.
It's a tough one. He's a Tanzanian long-distance runner who competed in the marathon event at the 1980 Summer Olympics, and it does not list a medal, so again, we're going to assume he didn't get one.
We can assume, but we'll probably never really know. So, if your sport is long-distance running, but you compete in the marathon, isn't that your sport?
Yeah, I think the marathon would be your sport. You're a long-distance runner, but the one thing you're doing is the marathon. He didn't run anything else that we know of, at least not mentioned here.
He could have run further, is what you're saying.
Yeah, he could have run further. Apparently, he didn't run far. Well, he probably ran far enough, just not fast enough, I'm assuming.
You got to do both of those things
Yeah.
simultaneously to be victorious. Looks like he's still alive, though, born 1853, and he is currently between 68 and 69 years old.
That means we don't know the day of his birth, so apparently he was important enough for the article, but not important enough for somebody to check when his birthday was.
Yeah, but hey, what's in a day? 24 hours? That's hardly enough time for life. Or a marathon if I was running it. I don't think I could do it in a day. I wonder how long it took our other friend to paint that, relatively sad picture.
It sounds like it's something he did in an afternoon, and the whole time he's like, I don't know why this guy's so sad. I've never been sad a day in my life. Yada da da da.
Oh, here's a great addendum to that, though. The guy who wanted the painting, and was it sad enough? Looks like he was so insulted by that comment that he refused to buy the painting from him.
Well, that's good.
He liked it, though, it says.
Maybe the guy was then finally sad.
Oh, yes. It's art that makes you feel something inside. Does art, reflect life, or vice versa? Or is art indeed life in itself?
Yeah, I think that was probably life imitating art. He was probably just sitting there just like this. Oh, he didn't buy my painting. Oh, it's so terrible. My painting.
Looks like another painter, too, may have been his father, but we don't really know. That's an interesting thing to add in here. Look, this guy here, great beard. I'm going to say at least that. Spectacular beard in this little picture we have of him.
Yeah, that's all we care about. If you have a great beard, good job. Good job. But even though he's got a great beard, I don't think he's got the legs. I don't think he's got the legs to move on to the next round, but I know who probably might.
Are you talking about our friend Emmanuel?
You know I am.
Oh, well, then you know that I actually disagree. I think that this was one saucy painter. I like his style. He's got a sense of humor. He's got some dark humor, perhaps, but he also has a fantastic beard. Looks like all of the hair from the top of his head just went onto his chin. But it did so very effectively, and I think I'd like to move him on as my selection. So we find ourselves at an impasse.
Yes, it is time.
Time for a tiebreaker.
As everyone knows, tiebreakers on the Tournament of Everything occasionally do happen because when you travel through the vastness that is infinity, sometimes you get two things too close to separate.
That's right. And so when this does take place, we break out our easels and get real depressed, paint pictures of ourselves, and whichever one makes us feel better about not being the other one is going to be the victor.
Mike, I did not bring my finger paints.
Okay, well, then I tell you what, why don't we just pick a number between 1 and 10,000, and whoever is closest will get their selection moved on.
I think that's a great idea, and actually, given that this is one of the rare video episodes, I'm going to put that number up on the screen.
Divine indeed.
So everyone can see the number generator there. We're going to be going between 1 and 10,000. I am going to pick the number 1953 for the birth year of Emmanuel.
That's a good number. I'm going to go with, let's see, he painted, something happened in 1677, so I'm going to throw it down and reverse it. I'm going to go with 7,761.
Okay. The number randomly generated as of this moment, as you all can see, is 7,191.
All right, Adrian Cornelis van Linschoten, you have painted your way happily into the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
Guy got so lucky.
He did.
So lucky.
You never know who you're going to face up with. It's the matchups that are vital, absolutely important in this competition, because even a fly has a chance on any given day. There's no part of infinity. If you're going to exist, you have to have merit. Everything that exists does. So it's just some have more than others. Looks like he did today.
I still don't agree with it, but that's fine. That's fine. We have other rounds. That's
All right.
fine.
Well, we'll put it behind us and look before us to round 5. Round 5.
Round 5.
In round 5, we have James Reed against Skintai First Nation.
Okay. We have, looks like a Canadian politician and farmer facing off against the a First Nations banned government located in British Columbia for the Skytree First Nation.
Now, James Reed, the Ontario politician, was born September 14th, 1948, and passed away June 18th, 1926. He was an Ontario farmer and political figure. He represented Addington in the Legislative Assembly of Ontario as a Conservative member from 1980 all the way to 1904.
Born there in Canada in 1848, son of Irish immigrants, educated there. He married his future wife and became member of a council, served as reeve and warden. He lived near Centerville. Looks like he probably died near Centerville, too.
Yeah, he actually passed away in Napanee, Ontario, and I do not know where Napanee is, but Napanee, here's your shout out.
Well, it's approximately 45 kilometers west of Kingston and the county seat of Lennox and Addington County.
None of that information helps me find it any further.
Well, let's see if the information that we have on our other competitor, the Skintai First Nation, will teach us anything further.
It's also known as the Skintai Indian Band, is a First Nations band government located in the central interior of British Columbia near Francois Lake and Omineca Country to the west of the city of Prince George.
So we've got 2 Canadian powerhouses facing off against one another here in this round. That is rare, given the odds of 2 things being, so related amongst the vastness of infinity. But yet, here we have it. Okay, so it looks like this is, a group of different individuals across, it appears, several Indian reserves in the same area that have kind of united underneath a single government.
Yeah, there are 184 band members in this, band? I was going to think of another word, but band is the appropriate word.
There are a very low population, though, even as of 2020. 54 individuals on the reserve, 5 on other land. They've got 130 off the reserve for a total of only 189.
Yeah, the chief currently is Rosemary Skin, and the council is Robert Skin and William Whistler. And it says land area 3.966 kilometers, so not a huge area here.
No, indeed. What a shame.
Yeah, quit taking land from people, guys.
Yeah, I'm sure it's nice, but they probably deserve better. I wonder if our other competitor had any say in any of this. Mr. James Reed, the Ontario politician, did he do anything to help these people?
I'm gonna guess, given the time, it's unlikely.
Yep, definitely going to assume that you are correct. Yeah, I think I'm pretty settled here. Skintai First Nation, you sounds like you've had a rough go of it, and we'd like to help you out by moving you into the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
I agree. Absolutely. Way better than this old Canadian politician. Dude, I'm sure you were a nice guy, right? But this group is better.
Yeah, they're better. Also, British Columbia is probably better than Ontario. British Columbia is great. It's way over there. I don't know where Ontario is, but it's up there.
Canada, I'm so sorry. I don't know enough about you. I know there's hockey up there. I know there's moose up there. I have friends in Canada.
I think you're making it worse.
I probably am. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm not sorry that we're going to be moving on to round 6.
Making a turn around the last curve. He comes around the last side, and there you have it. There is your winner, round 6.
In round 6, we have Wim Shocking against Margeaux.
Ooh, this is going to be a shockingly awesome round. I can tell already right now. Anytime somebody has an awesome last name or no last name, just a single name, you know that both of them are going to be exceptional. So let's see which one here is going to excel into the next round.
Why don't we? Wim Shocking, Willem Frederick Wim Shocking, born August 14th, 1900, in Amsterdam, passed away July 5th, 1960, also known as Amsterdam. Dutch politician from the Christian Historical Union, Minister of War, of Marine, and the Dries van Schaick cabinet from 1948 to 1950.
Yes, this individual was responsible for the deployment of troops to Indonesia during Occupation Cry and their repatriation afterward. He was also a member of the Council of State. Let's see, Operation Cry, Dutch military offensive against Indonesia. Looks like they surprised him and they captured the capital.
So, colonialism.
Yeah, and just looking at this guy, he looks like the guy in an Indiana Jones movie who at the beginning seems like a good guy, but then at the end has been working for the bad guys the whole time.
Yeah, he looks super smug. Look at that photo. Look at that guy. I don't even know if he's reading that paper. I think he's just there for the photo.
Yeah, he probably can't even read. You know, the politicians back in those days, they were just given the jobs. I don't know. It's not in the article. But what is in the article, but the other one, is our other competitor, Margeaux.
Margeaux Elaine Sims, known professionally as Margeaux, but spelled differently, is, can you believe it, another Canadian.
Oh my
Canadian
goodness.
singer, songwriter, fashion designer, and television personality. She appeared on VH1, the television love series Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, but she's born in Canada.
This is absolutely ridiculous. Canada is really poutine on a show here tonight. She first pursued her music career in 2004. She attended Ryerson University, where she also studied fashion design. She started singing mostly hip-hop tracks, and then in 2005 moved to New York City, became a fashion designer, and then became a professional musician. There's nothing she cannot do.
She's done a lot of stuff, and if you've heard that poutine on a show joke before, it's come up in another episode of the show. Comment down which one it was, if you could, because I can't remember, but I know I've heard it.
Yeah, it's a good one, and you'll probably hear it again. There's only so many punchlines, and I'm guessing that my capacity for such is less than infinity, so you're gonna get some replays. Speaking of replays, it seems that Margeaux's fantastic music was played over and over.
Yeah, she moved to LA. She was married to Nico London. They separated in 2015. She was born in Canada of Jamaican descent. Her father was a chemist who died when Margeaux was 24, and she has 2 sisters, Carla and Roxy, probably not as famous.
But we're not sure because we're not talking about them quite yet in this round. But yeah, she's been on TV. People are wearing her clothes. They're rocking out to her music. Looks like she has 2 full-length albums. One from 2010 called Animal House. Another from 2017 called Black Cocaine. Yeah, she's just crushing it. She's doing shockingly well. Speaking of shocking, though, let's jump over and see if there's anything else that we can pull from other contestant, Mr. Wim Shocking.
And there's not.
Nope. Somebody probably should have pulled from him the ability to invade these island countries.
Don't worry, I got this one. Margeaux, you are Margeauing into the next round.
That's right.
The ultimate tournament of everything.
It's always nice when I can do one of those too.
I like that she added letters, like you said, to her name. Birth name, Margo. She added in like 4 or 5 other letters for her, professional name. I think that's just style. And if Margeaux is just style in a nutshell, I would have to say.
Well, and all silent letters, too. She just added a bunch of silent letters, which apparently you can do. You can add letters to anything and say there's silent letters. Your name is Jim, but you spell it Jimplftxe. You can do that. Those other letters are silent. It's just pronounced Jim.
Yeah, I mean, it ain't hurting nobody, and they're silent. Probably what most people won't notice. Again, people don't read, people don't write, but Margot's written her ticket into the next round. Speaking of the next round, let's get in to round 7.
Round 7. Round 7. Round 7. Round 7.
In round 7, we have Edward Augustine Savoy against Myron Fass.
All right. Yes. This is going to be very exciting. We've got... it's not a Canadian. This appears to be an American. Pretty surprising there. He was a politician? Looks like. Yep. He served in a number of roles. And Myron Fass, a American publisher of pulp magazines and comic books.
So we have 2 Americans against each other?
Oh, yes, there's a wide world. We are just having these serendipitous coincidences happening. I can't wait to see what gift the universe has presented upon us.
This is the round of freedom where everyone's a winner. Edward Augustine Savoy, born May 2nd, 1855, passed away August 24th, 1943, first hired as a page in the State Department by the Secretary of State Hamilton Fish, and then officially appointed July 1st, 1871, beginning a federal career that spanned a great 64 years. What a civil servant.
Yes, indeed. He lived to serve for quite some time, too, it seems. He worked for 21 secretaries of state through 14 presidencies. From Ulysses S. Grant, the dude from the Civil War, all the way up to Franklin D. Roosevelt, the dude from the war, it was not very civil. No, but it was war. He retired in 1933 at the age of 77, where he had just concluded his service as chief messenger to the Secretary of State.
Now, as I said, this is the round of freedom, and Edward was born a free man in Washington, D.C., to Edward Louis Savoy and Elizabeth E. Von Rada Butler Savoy in 1855. His father was born enslaved, held many trades, and was a caterer in Washington, catering events at the White House and at the opening reception of the Corcoran Art Gallery.
Absolutely wonderful, very impressive. They didn't really, a lot of people didn't have very many opportunities prior to just about this time. Looks like he was at the forefront of people getting involved, African-American people getting involved in government and in places of power and significant roles. And he seems to have done a spectacular job as he was there forever, pretty much. Formerly known by leading diplomats and top-ranking leading officials of the federal government. He went from a page all the way up to the messenger of Secretary of State.
Yeah, this is just a great article filled with a bunch of great information. His mother was active in the Underground Railroad and helped escaping slaves make their way to Canada and their freedom. So if you have time, I would go back and read this whole thing. There's a lot of good stuff here. Yeah,
it actually sounds like somebody worthy of a Wikipedia article. No offense to all you Canadian curlers out there, but... some people have done some stuff. Speaking of some people doing some stuff, let's check out our other competitor, Mr. Myron Fass.
Myron Fass, born March 29th, 1926, and passed away September 14th, 2006. An American publisher of pulp magazines and comic books operating from the 50s through the 90s under a multitude of company names, including MF Enterprises and Erie Publications. At his height in the 70s, I'm assuming the height of his career, probably just not his 5'4" height, his actual height of his career, he was known as the biggest multi-title newsstand magazine publisher in the country, putting out 50 titles a month.
That's right, spanning all matter of subjects, From crime and comic books up to UFOs and tabloids, born in Brooklyn, he started, started illustrating horror, crime, romance, western, and other comics for a multitude of publishers. Then he became a publisher himself, packaging the Whitestone publishing title, The Lunatical, one of the first imitators of EC's Mad magazine. The girly magazine Photorama and the monster magazine Shock Tales soon followed.
Now, he was definitely famous, but probably not for good reasons. If any article or magazine was even remotely popular, his company would rip it off and imitate it. Oh, that was great. We're going to make that. So you had Superman. They probably had, like, Duperman. It was just close enough to get people to buy the magazine.
Yep, he was a hustler. You know, if it's gonna work for somebody else, maybe it'll work for you. He put in a lot of work, but looks like by the mid 1980s he'd become increasingly erratic, both in his behavior and his publishing output. He moved to Florida, where he ran a gun shop and continued to publish mostly firearm-related magazines. So. He's kind of a shady dude.
Dude sounds like he's crazy.
But he could read.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I don't know if reading is the bar for crazy.
He wasn't really reading the best stuff, I suppose. He's not reading anything anymore, for he passed away in 2006 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Kurt Busiek's Astro City series features an homage to Fass in its Foss Gardens location. So there is a memorial to the man out there somewhere. His comic books and magazines that he's published: Captain Marvel, Horror Tales, Tales from the Tomb, Weird, Witches Tales, Homicide Detective, Shooting Bible, a bunch of men's magazines such as Flick, Jaguar, Poor Boy, Monster magazines, movies and TV magazines, tabloids, UFOs. I think a lot of his stuff was really the tabloid, get your attention type stuff.
Yeah, at the very, to say the least. But yeah, he was remembered. He's referenced. But he's not the only one to be so. Our other competitor, Mr. Edward Augustine Savoy, he has been appropriately memorialized in several iterations. Edward Eddie Augustine Savoy, he did pass away at the wonderful age of 88 in 1943, and many national papers, perhaps even our friends, carried the news. He is, one of the 18 U.S. Liberty ships built before the end of World War II were named for the prominent African-American. The SS Edward A. Savoy, named in his honor in 1944, ship was christened in the Bethlehem Fairfield shipyard in July of that year.
We could keep talking about all the great things he has done, but I think we know where this is headed.
This is headed straight into the next round of...
The ultimate tournament of everything.
That man's an American hero.
He truly is. I definitely... Go back, give yourself a chance to savor this beautiful article about Mr. Savoy. You won't be upset that you did so, and we won't be upset for moving on to the next round, round 8.
I say, would you by chance have any round 8?
Round 8!
In round 8, we have the Bearing Baronets against Cas des Dépôts et Consignations.
That we do. Bearing Baronets. What is it here? Two baronetesses created for members of the Baring family. Oh,
Female baronet.
Oh, well, I don't know what a baronet is in either gender, but I also don't speak French, so I don't know what Caisse des Despots de Consignation is. Looks like it's a public sector. Let's learn more about each of these.
Yeah, good luck. Here we go. There have been 2 baronetcies created for members of the Baring family, one of the baronetage of Great Britain and one in the baronetage of the United Kingdom. The Baring baronetcy, that's right, baronetcy of Larkbeer in the county of Devon was created in the baronetage of Great Britain in 1793 for the influential banker Francis Baring. So it's I guess a title of nobility, it sounds like.
Yeah, apparently it's the female equivalent of a baron. So like a duke or a principal or something like that. Something fancy and title based. Looks like there have been 3 of them, 2 Francises and a Thomas.
So the Baring is the family and the baronet is the title, and that's, I guess, what's been confusing me is they're too close together. I thought they're related, and they're kind of not.
Yeah, when I thought, just looking at it, Baring baronets, like take out your that's a bayonet.
That's a different thing.
That's a different thing.
Yeah, different thing.
Speaking of different things, let's jump over to our other competitor, the one in French that we've already tried to say a couple of times.
Yeah, it's a French public sector financial institution created in 1816 and part of the government institutions under control of the Parliament.
Now, this is often described as the investment arm of the French state. Defined in the French Monetary and Financial Code as a public group serving the public interest and a quote-unquote long-term investor. If you got all the money and you suddenly take it all out, everyone's in trouble. So perhaps that's kind of what this is?
Yeah, they're in the financial leasing industry, financial service activities, accept insurance and pension funding, but then they also do fund pensions as well. And they have $1.3 trillion in assets.
That's definitely a lot of cheddar. They take care of a lot of things: management of regulated savings funds, pension plans. It says management of public authority, so that covers a lot of things. It goes on and on. Looks like they've got their hands into just about anything that it costs money to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in this article, and that's what you've seen scrolling by. The general cashier apparently is a position at this bank. Head of the back office operations, responsible for ensuring segregation between decision-making and execution, I guess to keep corruption down. That's always good when you're dealing with a lot of money, as required by the operating rules applicable to financial and state-owned institutions. Well, that's good. They thought a little bit about that.
This is a relatively... Oh, it looks like the individual who established this in 1860... The Caisse des Despots was established by Mr. Louis Emmanuel Corvetto, and we actually have a picture of him. If that's what he really looked like, that's kind of a fun style.
Yeah, I've never seen that hairstyle before.
I don't really like it as a hairstyle, but I like it for him. It suits him.
The scarf is a nice touch.
It is, fancy man, but so are the baronets. Fancy people, anyways. Being of royalhood, I guess so. It's just so much fancy.
There's a list of them: Francis, Thomas, Francis again, Sir Godfrey, Sir Charles, Sir John Francis. There's even a line of succession. It's royalty. But you know what the great thing about America is? I don't need to care.
Yes. In America, we are royalty free, as are we here on the Ultimate Tournament of Everything podcast. And I think I'm going to have to go and put my money down where it seems almost everybody else has for our other competitor, the Caisse des Dépôts des Consignations.
The Ultimate Tournament of Everything.
I agree, just so I don't have to pronounce it again.
Yeah, we could have just saved ourselves some trouble and gone with CDC, but maybe that would have been even more confusing. Couldn't tell you. But what I can tell you is that here in the Ultimate Tournament of Everything, we show up twice a week with these full-length episodes, bringing you 9 rounds of just action-packed, high-flying action, 2 competitors of infinity at a time, and every single other day of the week, we have a scouting report.
That's right. So if you liked any of this, and we have one more round for you to enjoy, make sure you like, comment, share, tell a friend. The more ways this gets out there, the more people get to see it, and the more of these we get to do. And we actually have a special thing going for the first couple episodes. And by first couple, I mean this is number 30.
That's right. 3-0. Both spectacular numbers, but you know what number I have in my mind right now?
Please tell me it's 1,000.
Nope, it's round 9.
Ba-doom.
It's about time for round 9.
Round 9.
In round 9, we have the Kurhani Assembly constituency against Paper Man, the album.
We have an assembly constituency from the Indian state of Bihar, something that was, probably established and put out on paper to create it. But also we have an individual that seems to have been created from paper, perhaps the very same sheet, Paper Man, the album by American jazz trumpeter Charles Tolliver.
Now, the Kurhani Assembly constituency is part of a delimitation of parliamentary and assembly constituencies order, which is an order apparently in 2008, number 93. The Kurhani Assembly constituency is composed of the following: the Kurhani Community Development Block. That's the whole thing. It is part of number 15, the Muzaffarpur constituency.
Okay, so this is a group of people and candidates from parties. Tough to say.
Yeah, there's I guess it's Indian politicking, I would assume. I maybe it's a political group. Does that sound about right? Or is it a small village? Maybe it's here on a map.
An assembly constituency. The State Legislative Assembly. It's a legislative body in the states and union territories of India. In the 28 states and 3 union territories with a unicameral state legislature, it is the sole legislative body, and in 6 states, it's the lower house.
So it looks like it is kind of think of a district, I guess, the way we do here in the U.S. for government, but it's their version of that. With I don't know, who's the current person?
Current person would be an individual who probably has a name. We have election results just saying somebody beat somebody else. We have vote counts.
No, hang on. We have a name. Anil Kumar Sani.
Oh, what a name it is.
Just barely beat Kedar Prasad Gupta. Actually beat him by 0.4 percentage points.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about, what is that, 712 votes? That's,
It was close.
That's close. Don't see any calls for a recount or anything, gotta respect that. But let's also show a little respect to our other competitor, Paper Man, the album.
Now, the AllMusic review by Scott Yenow awarded the album 4.5 stars, stating the explorative and stirring music is well worth investigating. I'm assuming that 4.5 is out of 5.
I would definitely assume so, but it could have been out of just 4.5. Looks like there are some heavy hitters on this. Again, Charles Tolliver himself. We had Gary Bartz, Herbie Hancock, Ron Carter, and Joe Chambers. They recorded in the 1968 and first released on the British Black Lion label as Charles Tolliver and his All-Stars, indeed, later released on the Freedom label.
This was recorded July 2nd, 1968 at Town Sound Studios in Inglewood, New Jersey, and it is in the jazz genre. It spans 39 minutes and 9 seconds of the smoothest jazz you've probably ever heard from the year 1975.
Yep, absolutely spectacular. Great album cover, too. You check that out. Very nice. I like that shirt. Gotta get me one, but I also gotta get this album and check it out. I wonder if you can get it on anything other than record.
I bet you can probably get it wherever you get digital music nowadays. Probably the same place you can get this podcast.
Absolutely. Which is also pretty much just jazz, if you think about it. So let's bebop our way back real quick to the other contestant and see if there's any other information, important, vital information, that we can share with you, our lovely listeners.
They are a first-past-the-post electoral system, which means, according to this, that electoral system voters cast their vote for a candidate of their choice, and the candidate who receives the most votes wins, or as we normally call it, democracy.
Yep, certainly an election. And it looks like in this sample little thing here, demonstrating what that is, Mr. John Citizen at least beat out this person's vote for Mr. Joe Smith, Jane Doe, Fred Ruby, and Mary Hill. I don't know, John Citizen, it sounds like a good person to run. I would have voted for him too, probably, but that was not an option in this most recent election. Looks like the person that did lose was none of the above.
Ooh, Noda.
Yeah, they didn't get many, but they did get a little bit fewer than Harinda Harry.
Chowdhury, maybe?
Yeah, it could be.
It's a tough one. So what we effectively have here is a very rigid system where people express all their opinions against a very fluid system where you get to listen to opinions expressed as music.
Yeah, I'm just psyched on this. I gotta get this album. Ron Carter, bassist, Herbie Hancock, piano, Joe Chambers on the drums. I mean, this is just, it's gold right here. There's only 6 tracks though, and none of them are too long. You had Earl's World, ends with Paper Man, the title track of the album. And I think that this contest today is going to end with Mr. Charles Tolliver and his album Paper Man moving on to the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's definitely the winner given the 2 competitors.
And this was just his debut album. Things must have only gotten even more jazzy and spectacular from here, but we'll have to wait till his other albums inevitably show up in a subsequent episode of the Ultimate Tournament of Everything. And Rob, where might they find that episode?
You can find us anywhere you find podcasts, and this video one, even someplace you wouldn't. This video edition is actually only available on Spotify, so if you're listening to us anywhere else and wondering, where can I see you? You gotta go to Spotify for that. Every day of the week you'll get an episode. 2 days a week you get a full length like this one, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Every other day of the week you get a short, and on special occasions like today, you get a video episode.
Yeah, so you can see our lovely faces asking you to like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends you have a good time hearing us, and encourage them to do the same. We'll see you next time for
The ultimate tournament of everything.